Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the Smash Dispatch episode 4. Today and only today, we have a big show to talk about. Remember, actually, if you remember from last week, Ultima, he started last week's episode by saying, watch us record and post this episode, and then Nintendo suddenly dropped something, and they did.
Yeah, they just literally went for the fucking, direct throat right after.
Yeah. They screwed us. We literally posted that, and the next day they did that presentation. I was like, fuck. They got us there. But we can't really complain because, hey, we got a Smash presentation. It was, the night before that presentation was insane, dude. Everyone was just it was speculation insanity online.
Yeah, because, honestly, and Sakurai even said at the beginning that, literally nobody knows who it is. When he said, not even people at Nintendo knows who this secret character is, I was like, he's just flaunting in our faces that this didn't get leaked, you know?
Dude, that's insane. But yeah, basically, for if you were under a rock, we got a Smash presentation. Obviously, this is... Oh, and those for you who suddenly don't know, this is obviously a Smash podcast. We get into everything Smash-related, Smash news, Smash topics, everything. So obviously, when big stuff comes up, we're going to talk about it. So yeah, we had this week, well, I mean, it was, a few days ago now, the Smash presentation with the reveal of Byleth from Fire Emblem Three Houses coming to Smash Bros. Yeah, which apparently was such a big deal that they were like, we're not gonna live drop this because we hid this from so many people at Nintendo. So yeah, let's start because I talked about this yesterday. I was on Japan Time, actually. I've talked about it in individual videos. I've talked about it on the podcast. So I want to know your thoughts, Ultima. How did you feel about the reveal?
I think now that there's been enough time where I can breathe and think about it. All I know is I think it's probably just from the trailer itself. But man, right. I went into with the biggest fucking apathy in the fucking world.
Right.
It wasn't I was mad. It wasn't that I was disappointed. It was just I couldn't bring myself to care. I think the problem is one of my friends put it really well. It didn't feel appropriate, and what I mean by that is
right.
It didn't feel appropriate to have Byleth as the last one on this Fighter's Pass when everyone else was third party. They feel out of place. It's not that it's not that I'm mad that we're getting first party characters or another Fire Emblem character. It's just Byleth compared to everyone else. You know what I mean? Is the problem. That's what I feel sort of. I mean, that's why we got the reaction that we did from a lot of people, just because...
Right, yeah.
The next to the lineup, and I think even in terms of what Byleth can do, every other character, I mean, maybe besides Banjo, but even Banjo had the unique side B sort of, resource thing to him. Every other character has, these, breaks a rule of Smash, or does something that, no other character does in Smash. And, with Byleth, it just feels like they are just a character to buy time. They're a very straightforward character. They have the weapon switching, but it's not the weapon switching to me. Also, is kind of disappointing because I don't know.
Right.
I feel if Byleth was handled like the other third parties, they would have had a completely different moveset for each weapon. It would have been like Pokemon Trainer with down B, and you had you could swap between the weapons and all that shit. You know.
Right,
I feel this character is something to hold us over because we are getting 6 new fighters, and I think that's why I can't be mad. Fucking 6 is insane. So
yeah, on top of the there was initially 75 in the roster, then we got this DLC, and now we're getting 6 more. It's really hard to complain.
Yeah, I can't be I can't be upset. I can be oh, okay, it's just Byleth, but the fact we're getting 6, I can't be mad at Sakurai. That's fucking insane.
Of course. Yeah, again, like I said, I talked about this a lot, so I won't harp on it too much. But again, I'm really excited for Byleth. I really love Three Houses, but I do agree with you that it felt a little weird, obviously, coming off of a past where every character was third party, and even if you didn't necessarily like or care about that character, they were something important to a series out of Nintendo, and it meant something to someone else. And obviously, again, Fire Emblem Three Houses means a lot to a lot of people. I mean, it was last year for Game Awards, it was the gamer's choice.
Oh, I am the people will know. I'm a big Fire Emblem fan just in general, but like the represent, like we'll get into this later, but just how it's represented in Smash and how it's handled in Smash is like, oh man, it could be a lot better. That's all I'm gonna say for right now.
I mean, like, honestly, I talked about this on another podcast where I was saying I think maybe because again, you gotta remember, right? They picked these 5 characters initially, right? I think maybe when they saw how much they had pre-orders for the season pass and how extremely well Joker sold, and they decided they're gonna do 6 more characters, I think maybe they might have swapped the last character slot. Like, maybe they had a third-party character lined up as the 5th character, but when they saw how massive the season pass was and that they knew they were gonna make a second one, they decided, you know what, let's save that final third-party character, or whoever it might be, for the beginning of Season 2, and swap.
That's a very good point. No, a friend of mine, he said it would make sense to have the start of Fighter Pass 2 be like another fucking huge reveal like Joker, because that will sell people to buy the second Fighters Pass, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Like, I do think it might have been
I think that's a little bit cynical, but I do think that, I do agree. I think between that, and also I think, like I said earlier, you know how I said like all the other DLC fighters besides Byleth had like this crazy fucking like rule-breaking Smash sort of thing about them. And also just in general, how much like, look at Hero alone. How much work went into Hero alone? 4 costumes that are completely different models, all the down B attacks. Like, I think personally, so much work went into the other characters on the Fighters Pass that they needed a character like Byleth to like buy time, or like have like sort of round out the slot, because obviously it would be easier to work with like a character like Byleth to implement them in Smash, because you know they have so many other Fire Emblem characters to work with. So
no, I'm with you on that again. Like, it's like I'm super excited for Byleth. I mean, I was really excited because even when we did, it was 2 weeks ago when we did the predicting Smash Ultimate in 2020, and I said we might get Byleth, and I freaked out because I had said on this podcast that, like, yeah, it could be Byleth, and she switches between, like, the different weapons of the creator. So obviously I was, like, super hyped that I called that. But yeah, I understand totally the fact that it just feels like a weird pick compared to the others, and that, yeah, the other characters had such weird, unique movesets that this one, again, is cool, but it's like, it's like kind of different skins of moves that exist, right? Like, the down B where it charges the axe is kind of basically Roy's down B. The swiping forward air, like, forward smash is really cool. The down B is just, you know, like a regular down B where it goes through both directions. And like the bow and arrow is cool because like you can charge it enough where it actually can like push an opponent really far off stage. So it's like, it's almost like variations on a lot of moves, and it's almost like, again, they make fun of it in the trailer, obviously, of the anime swordsman thing. But it's like, yeah, it's kind of what everyone says of like, either way, someone that's holding a weapon that's like sword-like feels like a swordsman, even if it isn't. So yeah, I agree with you again. Like, cool. It's like, I'm excited just because I really love the character and I love the costumes and I love Fire and everything else. But it's like, I do understand there is some like sting of like, yeah, there was a kind of an expectation, and obviously that wasn't owed to us. Like, we're not owed a third-party character. We're not owed a massive character. These are extra characters. But yeah, no, I agree with you that like, it just felt, especially waiting, because you got like, especially the fact that we waited 5 months, right? Like the fact that we hadn't gotten a character revealed since September. I feel like the mix of hunger plus the mix of having 4 previous third-party characters gave like massive expectations, you know?
Yeah, I think also like the thing is, it also could have just been, you know, a lot of people were trying to see a pattern when there isn't. I think trying to predict what Sakurai is gonna do is just a fruitless effort, because like everyone was trying to connect the dots. Everyone was like, okay, well, it absolutely makes no sense. I think, here's the thing. I think Byleth was simultaneously the most predicted and the least predicted character.
Exactly.
I think if you talk to everyone, a lot of people have been like, well, there's no 3 houses spirits. We're probably gonna get Byleth, but they'll probably be on the like next like Fighters Pass. Like they'll be after Fighter Pass 5, right? And then like, we got Byleth on Fighters Pass 5, so nobody saw that coming, but everybody sort of knew that we would have gotten Byleth. So I think that was where it sort of stems from. It's just that, you know, people trying to find patterns where there really aren't any, even though, like, you know, because it makes sense, but we know Sakurai just does what he wants.
Exactly, and then again, like I said, I think this, especially this one, really cemented the fact again. Like I know there have been many times where people like this. I feel like this always happens. We always go in with some kind of expectation, he gets rid of it. So it's like I think especially after this one, no one's gonna think that there's like a pattern anymore. They're just gonna be like, literally anything can happen. There's some things you can kind of predict. Like okay, you can tell that. I think, and this is personal, like, I think one of the next 6 characters has to be a Gen 8 Pokemon. Like, it's like, you can predict small stuff like that makes sense marketing-wise. I mean, think about this one, right? Like, this character was announced, and in 2 weeks, we're getting the Fire Emblem Three Houses expansion. So it's like, there's always some kind of marketing there. So you bet your ass you're gonna get at E3 a Gen 8 Pokemon, or later, that goes with the expansion.
A Gen 8 Pokemon feels like so easy to put in, so yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And again, like, the thing about Pokemon, though, is even if there's a lot of them, they do play completely differently. Like, other than Pichu and Pikachu, all Pokemon play really differently. And, like, that's the biggest franchise in the world, so it's fair to represent it a lot. But yeah, so either way, let's break this down a bit. So first of all, how did you just feel about the trailer in general?
Well, Sakurai said you'll be able to tell who it is right away, and he wasn't fucking lying. Like
he wasn't lying.
I literally, like, okay, I'm gonna be dead serious. When I saw that trailer, I like my body, like my mind refused to accept that it was like Byleth for a second. So I'm like, what's the twist? What third-party character is gonna rescue Byleth, and then we'll get a Garrick Mock stage? You know what I mean? Literally, like I'm like, this can't be it. Where's the twist? You know? Like I guess the twist was all the different weapons. But still, I was like, that's it? Like, okay, yeah. I will say, Sothis was the fucking funniest fucking part of it.
I agree.
Like, I really loved her performance, and bless Cassandra Lee Morris, the voice actress, for actually selling that performance so well. But other than Sothis, I was like, there was no twist or, like, build-up. It was just like, okay, it's Byleth, you know?
Right, yeah. I did find it really weird that, like, it just starts and, like, you just see Byleth and you're like, oh, okay, it's like, I know right away. It's like, I felt like they could have, I felt like it would have been smarter if, like, you fade to darkness, Sothis starts talking, and then you get the reveal of Byleth. Like, not him standing, getting taken by the shadows. But I did think
like if the other Fire Emblem characters were fighting, and then Byleth, like, has some great entrance to it, you know, with Sothis.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that would have made more sense. But, like, they literally just took a Three Houses cutscene and are like, oh, but it's Smash now.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And it's like, no, it's like, I thought, like, I got really excited just because I was like, well, I was freaking out because I was like, oh my god, the internet's gonna be so pissed, but, like, I was just
I know, yeah, that was my thought, too. I'm like, here we go, it's Corrin all over again.
And it's like, yeah, so I thought the trailer was really cool. I really, again, like you said, I really like Sothis, the funny dialogue. Obviously, the making a joke about how many swordsmen there are in Smash was amazing. Really clever stuff there. And it's just, I really thought...
the actual animation was, like, very, very cool. Like, I know a lot of people are like, already talked about it, but the scene was like female Byleth smiling and flying through the air with all the weapons. That was really fucking cool. Like, I won't lie. Like, now that I've rewatched it, more time has passed, I think that was a really cool part, too.
Especially with the villain being like, so joining Smash consumes even the darkness itself, which is amazing. I love that so much. That was great. And then, like, the second time when you see his female body, he's just like, oh, so that was really funny. But yeah, it's like overall, and I think what I loved also was, like, man, that remix of Edge of Dawn is fucking beautiful.
Well, when the version of Lost in Thoughts All Alone that played in the remix version for Corrin, like, I fucking love that song to death. And so, like, they always do really good jobs with the music on the Fire Emblem trailers. I will say that much.
Exactly. And I liked, like, all the little references. Like, I loved how they remade the battalion attacks with, like, little tiny ice climbers running forward. I love how they did stuff like you'd have the characters in the background in specific scenes and it makes sense. Like, they did a lot of clever stuff that reflected the Three Houses, which I really appreciate, which they always do in these trailers.
Yeah, they did so overall, the Cuphead costume too, which is really cool.
of course. Yeah, we'll get to that next. So overall for that trailer, really cool. So that's Byleth, and we are going to be getting it on January 28th, so hopefully by next episode we'll have kind of impressions on the character and stuff. But yeah, so that was really cool. So then the rest of the presents, well, before let's do the Mii costumes now. So we got our next set of Mii costumes. So first one we got is Altair.
Altair, which Which is weird. They instead of saying X Assassin's Creed, they did X Altair, which they didn't do in the other. Like in the UK version, it was like X Assassin's Creed. So I don't know what the point of that was, but
I think it was that they didn't want to say assassin or I don't know. It was really weird though.
Assassin, okay, yeah.
But yeah, so they had Altair. Then we had 2 more Mega Mans. We had we had Mega Man X and Mega Man EXE.
I think those are back from Smash 4 though. I know the EXE one is at least. I don't remember if the X one is, but I know those are coming back from Smash 4.
Yeah. So I mean, hey, there's like a million Mega Man costumes, which is really funny. But at least it shows Nintendo and Capcom are still talking, so probably something there in the future. The big one, we got Rabbids, and then the big one we got is obviously Cuphead. Cuphead being our second kind of DLC, like a skinned over me that looks really good.
Yeah, the premium costume, because it comes with the song too.
Yeah, exactly. What an awesome little thing there. Like when I saw the book with the filter on it, I was like, oh man, this is awesome.
Yeah, and, I love these fucking costumes. Like I love that they are also seemingly for like indie reps. Like I mean, we've only had it with Sans so far, so it's like, you know, I'm not saying there's a pattern, but it's really cool that the indie representation is like being pushed more with these costumes. Because you know they can easily do this for like almost any other Mii costume character, you know what I mean? But they save it for the indies, it feels like.
No, exactly, and it's like, what's really cool about it is, like we said, it's like, it's not just like, it doesn't look like a knockoff hat, it like really looks like the character, and the fact that you can shoot from the fingers is such a cool touch they did.
Yeah,
like, that's awesome.
They always try to like capture so much of like, you know, because they can only do so much animation with the Mii's, and they try their best to like make it work with the existing character. I also think that it's really good that you know, I like this representation more than just having like a spirit battle. You know what I mean? I agree. I feel like unfortunately, I really hope they do a Shantae costume with a song. Just because I feel like it's so unfair that Shantae gets stuck being a spirit, you know?
Yeah, I know, it sucks. Yeah, again, like, so far we have 4 indie representations. We have Shantae Spirit, we have the Shovel Knight Assist Trophy, we have the Sans costume, and the Cuphead costume. So, they're getting better at it. Like, you could tell, like, again, it's in general, it's a crazy thing for Nintendo to call up an indie. Imagine being that team and being like, we want you in Smash.
Yeah, no, somewhere. I mean, like, just like, you know, Toby Fox, too, just like how he was like, I went to Sakurai's house. That's so wild,
yeah, exactly.
Right? Like,
what the fuck? It's insane.
But other ones that I'd like to see, like, I think a Hollow Knight costume over the Sword Fighter would be so cool if we could get that.
Yeah, especially because we don't have one of those that's a sword fighter. Like Sans and Gunner are both the Sans and Cuphead are Mii Gunner.
So
exactly. So please give another one some shine. But yeah, like that's awesome, and I'm so happy it comes with that song. The one that plays, I think, when you're against the flower boss.
Yeah, the floral one. Yeah. I think there was another song that like was also pretty popular from Cuphead, but that was like the second most popular one. So
yeah, it's one of them. So that one's really awesome. Again, I love Cuphead's like one of my favorite games, so I'm really happy that's there. And again, it's again like a really nice touch in the trailer where it opens with the storybook cover, and like when Cuphead shoots Piranha Plant, which is meant to be the flower boss, a green Charizard, which is like the dragon, Captain Falco, which is like that chicken flying boss. So really obviously amazing detail there as always.
There's a scene also at the beginning where like I believe where there's like a blue villager with a net, and that's supposed to be Mugman, which is really cool.
That's amazing. That's really cool. I love that. Again, those little details are amazing. So that's that for Mii costumes, and then we had obviously the big reveal that we were predicting in the other podcast that maybe it would be individual fighters or whatever, but no, it is confirmed that it is a second season pass, volume 2, 6 characters this time, but
one more. That's insane.
Yeah.
I thought, like, I agree. I think a lot of people thought, because, you know, they didn't say fighters pass at first. I think a lot of people thought they'd go back to the Smash 4 style, where they would just drop a random character every so often.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But a full fighters pass with another fighter,
insane.
Like, that is absurd. That's actually absurd.
Yeah. Now, granted, the caveat here this time is that this one runs from now to end of 2021. So
I don't
it's
know
not
if I could like take this 2021 like a whole like 2 years of speculation.
Yeah, that's insane, dude. We're gonna lose our minds again. The way I said it online was like, y'all better enjoy this because this is the last time we're getting a game like this. So even if it takes forever, we're gonna have to keep doing it. But yeah, so so like obviously that is a big deal right there. What do you think? How did you feel about this? What do you think is gonna go down with this?
Oh well, obviously I think this was the most important part of the direct.
Right.
Only because, like, man, could you imagine if they were like, that's it, we've wrapped up development on Ultimate, and like, Byleth was the last one, people would have been way angrier than they would have been. Would have been way angrier than they were, I mean. But I mean, honestly though, like, yeah, that's insane. I think, like, I can't be, like, too disappointed or like, you know, let down by Byleth because we're getting the 6 fighters, because I know Sakurai is working so hard. Like, Byleth, like I said earlier, it feels like a holdover character. Because what I'm thinking about right now, I'm not thinking about who, because who is just, like, not even worth asking at this point. I'm thinking when. Like, how are they going to space out these characters all the way to, like, assuming it ends, like, in December. That could just be a placeholder. But if we assume that we go that far, like, these characters must have some insane amount of work going into them, because that feels like much more spaced out than the last set, you know?
I don't necessarily think it's just that. I think, one, they're probably in early production with them. And two, I think, again, it's like, I think this one's more kind of like spacing it out because they know these are the last 6. So they're like, let's kind of keep technically the conversation going for as long as we can. And again, I actually think it kind of lines up again. If we get one at E3, and then we get one at the September Direct, and then we get one in the next year's early year Direct, another one at E3, another one in a September Direct, and a final one maybe in like December. That kind of lines up with 6 characters. So again, like we said, it doesn't have to run until end of December. Like, it's not like a rule, but it does mean it's expected that it can take until then. So yeah, it kind of lines up with each of the major directs or events. So yeah, again, that's like, and again, we kind of already did many times speculations, but I do think, again, I think this pass is going to, because we got 6 characters, right? I think Capcom's getting a rep, and I think because of Byleth, Monster Hunter's kind of fucked out, because it has a lance and an axe and a fucking bow and all this stuff, so it kind of rules that character out.
Yeah, it does very much. You know, that's a really good point that I didn't really think about, because like, the way that Byleth, all of Byleth's weapons, like, sort of...
Yeah, the different weapons,
and also,
right?
like, just in general, like, holy shit, now that I think about it, like, the way, what Byleth's animations with, like, how much power is behind the swing, or like, you know, that feels very Monster Hunter-esque, if you ask me, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
It makes me wonder that if Byleth was fucking Monster Hunter, if people would have like, if let's say the moves were exactly the same, it was just Monster Hunter instead of Byleth, I think people would have been like, oh yeah, so cool, you know?
Yeah. Because again, people are less mad about the moveset, they're more mad that it's another Fire Emblem character.
The character,
so
that's a good point. I mean, I do think... I feel like it's so weird to me that we don't have another Bandai Namco representative, and they're making the game, and we haven't had anything since Pac-Man. Like, you know,
I think they've got to have one.
Like, I feel like we're overdue for someone from Bandai Namco. Just someone in general. It feels weird that we've been this long with only Pac-Man.
Yeah. Well, don't people say that technically am I wrong about this? Is Cosmos technically Bandai, or is that just Mono?
Yeah. So like Bandai owns like basically the rights to Xenosaga, which was like before Xenoblade Chronicles. But so like Cosmos and all of them are under Bandai, because like recently Harada was saying we thought about doing a remake or re-release of the Xenosaga games, and there just wasn't enough interest. But so they own that property, like that part of the property. Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, I feel like that would be a cool way to not only give Cosmos fans what they want, it would also
Xenoblade
give
fans and Xenosaga fans,
Xenoblade, and then you could gauge interest for a re-release of those games. So maybe that's possible, but I agree with you. A Bandai rep feels obvious. Whether maybe it's Lloyd, they finally do that, or they do
Heihachi feels like a shoe-in, because he doesn't even have the Mii costume in yet. So we'll see if that goes anywhere.
Yeah, I feel like that. I think again, like, Sora or Dante, one of those two has got to get in there, I think.
I feel like Dante is more of a likely than Sora, like in terms of a candidate, because we've already had a Square Enix character on the last pass.
Yeah, you're right.
and Dante just feels like a shoe-in. So I feel like that's gonna. I don't know. I feel like I'm trying not to speculate like on saying it's guaranteed, but I feel like that's the most likely or one of the most likely, especially because of like how big DMC is right now. So
yeah, exactly. No, I think that's gonna happen. I think they've got to have Gino. Like I just think that's the last character from the original batch of like we want
most
this
wanted.
character.
Yeah, like if we got Banjo and Ridley and K. Rool, which are like all the fan favorites for so long. I feel like Gino is like the would tie the bow, you know.
Yeah, exactly. That would tie the bow.
Also, there's a rumor that they're gonna do a traditional Paper Mario, so maybe.
Yes, I've said this before. I've said this a million times before. I would love a Paper Mario. Like,
yeah, Paper Mario would be really, really cool.
Yeah,
I mean, like, I know people, it's more Mario representation, but it's completely different. Like, Paper Mario is completely different. It's like Piranha Plant, you know? Like, just because they're from the same series doesn't mean that they aren't just, like, completely out there wacky characters that could do crazy things, you know?
And I mean, look at Dragon Ball FighterZ. There's like 8 Gokus, so Smash can have a second Mario.
I mean, we have 3 Links already, so whatever.
Exactly. And again, like Paper Mario could have the hammer mechanic, could have his specials as different partners.
Timed hits would be really cool.
Yeah, timed hits would be amazing.
Imagine if you have to do an attack, but you have to time like the second input correctly, like Incineroar or Side B, you know?
Yeah, that would be an amazing thing. And I think a big obvious one is I think Rex is going to make it. I think if Byleth made it, I think Rex, Mithra / Pyra are going to be in. I just think that's the one character Sakurai was like, we literally didn't do this because we started this game too late. And I think with the amount of popularity Monolith has right now and the amount of popularity that character has in terms of votes and polls and stuff, I just think that character is gonna happen at some point.
Like, yeah, it feels weird to me because basically they said that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 started development too late, or like they started too late to put him in. But when you think about Byleth, like he literally said like, we were working with them super early in production to get like Byleth and Smash because the game had only come out so like recently. I feel like Sakurai. I mean, we know Sakurai likes Xenoblade. I feel like it'd be so weird and like super like fucking biased if he was like, yeah, we worked to get Byleth in super ahead of time, but Rex was too late and he'll never get in the game. Like, you know what I mean? Like that feels like
that feels
like really blindsided. I feel like Sakurai is better than that. Like I feel like I mean I don't know. I feel like Sakurai like would know like that would be unfair to fans or something like that. You know, because he's not dumb. He knows what people want. So yeah,
he listens. No, that's it's like again, I'm just so excited for the rest of the speculation. Again, I do think we're gonna have a break now in between. I think he actually said it on Twitter or something. He said we don't expect anything for a bit now. So I think the next one's probably around E3. That's gonna be
that'd be fair. I mean, because there was holidays and we don't know how early into the pipeline like the second Fighters Pass even was, like when they decided on everyone. So I know they're working hard. It's gonna be a while. It's just like it's funny because like when my friends saw that it was like 2021 for like expected like to wrap up for everyone, he was like, "Are you ready for 2 more years of this shit?" I was like, God. "Yeah,
2 years, let's do it, bro. I don't care."
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that. Also, we forgot to touch on this. How do you feel about the Garrick Mach, like the monastery stage?
I think the stage is kind of just like there. It's like Castle Siege again. I don't know. The stage didn't feel very interesting to me. Like, I think partially because like. I'm not dogging on it because like I like in the context of the game, I think the monastery is nice to like you unwind, you talk to your students, but like as a setting, it's not visually interesting. You know what I mean? The monastery is not a very visually interesting stage. Like compared to like the Dragon Quest Spire, where all this shit is flying in the background. It's just like here's some of the characters standing around. You know?
Like it's like I think it looks cool. Like I like the look of it, and because I love the monastery, I like it. But yeah, I agree that it is just like 3 flat areas basically.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like it's a stage that, like I said, along with Byleth, I feel like it's something that they like. Okay, there's not gonna be anything super crazy on this stage because we have to start working on the next character and the next Fighters Pass. You know what I mean? I feel like this is just a holdover for fans before we get like the big stuff again with the next Fighter's Pass, you know.
Exactly. So we have that. Okay, and then before we move on from the presentation, I thought also just this presentation, Sakurai's just comedy and just style of talking was just amazing.
Sakurai, when he started counting binary and he flipped
yeah,
everyone off, it was just like, this man just he just does what he wants. He doesn't care. He knows
crazy.
what fans want and what they're here for, and he's just gonna start counting binary.
What? There was no reason to count then binary, but he's like, fuck it, and he gave us a beautiful middle finger, which is amazing. And,
that's gonna be like a memed image for years
forever.
now.
Forever.
Anytime anyone has a bad Smash opinion, that picture will get posted for years.
It's amazing, dude. I didn't even because I was
I didn't even see that. Yeah, I didn't even think about that when I saw it. You know.
So I thought people were photoshopping that. So when I actually went back, I was like,
oh
wait, what?
What the heck?
I was like, that's wild. But yeah, no. So really cool. And again, it's just the way he was like, if I have, it's Fire Emblem, but I have to say Fire Emblem. I'm gonna call the police. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But it's amazing.
Doo-doo. He's not doo-doo.
Yeah, he's not doo-doo. It's like
okay.
Again, I just think this is such a cool way to get close to your director/developer. It's I think more developers need to do this.
I know, I agree. It's why I think Nintendo does the people part of video games the best.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about Reggie, Reggie was a CEO, president sort of guy, but he didn't feel like one. He was a man of the people, and everybody loved him. How many gaming company presidents do you know that were like Reggie? None. There's none that had the same presence. It's the same with Sakurai.
Exactly.
When you think about game devs, I mean, there are a handful definitely that you have Yoko Taro and Harada-san who are these characters, but Sakurai is also with Nintendo and Sakurai, he is very much he is himself, and that's what a lot of people love, you know?
Yeah, and he's a genius. He's an encyclopedia of video game information. He knows everything. Yeah. It's insane. So yeah, no, so really awesome presentation. So moving on from that, let's just have, so we're going to sit and have a general talk about the Fire Emblem representation Smash. Because again, obviously, there was a lot of mixed reception towards this character, and again, it's less about Byleth, because again, like we said, a lot of people expected and actually wanted Byleth at some point, but I think it's just the idea that Fire Emblem now, with Byleth included, has 8 characters, will have, 4 stages, have the second most music after, I think, Mario, and basically is in the top 3 most represented characters in the game. If you don't count Pokemon Trainer as 3 characters, there's technically more Fire Emblem characters than Pokemon, which is insane. So yeah, it's a weird discussion to have. Why don't you kick it out? How do you feel about that?
Well, I think, as a fan, I think a lot of us would agree that the amount isn't necessarily the problem, because you talk about Pokemon and you talk about Mario, and those are much more they were much more obviously universal global sort of franchises, so it makes
IPs.
sense. And Fire Emblem was always seen as niche, and less so now, but I think the problem isn't the amount, especially nowadays, because between Fire Emblem Heroes, just the mobile game, and Three Houses, and how well Awakening and Fates did, the sales numbers, it's not niche anymore. Fire Emblem, I would argue, is not a niche franchise anymore. It's probably one of the franchises that makes the most money for Nintendo right now. I said, between the mobile app and just how well Three Houses and the other games have sold.
To me, when you sell 1 million, you're not niche anymore. You're not part of that.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's not that it's niche. The problem is how the characters are handled, and what I mean by that is look at Marth, Lucina, Roy, Krav, all those characters feel similar. I'm not saying that they are the same. They have different properties. They have different moves. But to a normal to someone who just is looking at them for face value, they just what's the point? And I feel that. I feel recently with the Fire Emblem characters, they've been better about representing the series. But think about this. Like I said, Robin. Not Robin. Robin, Byleth, and Corrin, for the more recent Fire Emblem characters, they do what the series is about. like Robin has the weapon durability and magic.
Yeah.
Byleth finally has different weapons from this series, and it took till Byleth. Like, okay, I can understand. Like, okay, Ike is a bit different. Ike makes sense. He's a very different character. But like Martha, Roy, Lucina, Chrom, like the fact that they all like use similar moves and like aren't really things that like happen in their games. Like, I know you had to kind of stretch for the character, but still, you know, it feels very like, oh, okay, like we're doing this again. Like, especially with how many of them have counters on the down B, which is just like, okay, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's like, the thing is that it's like, I feel like some people do forget again that like, it's like, you gotta think like Marth and Roy, they are like original echoes, right? Of like, Roy is an echo of Marth. And people forget that, well, if I don't want to use the word echo, like clone, right? The fact is that like like they're all clones, and like I think people forget that like the reason they're there is because it makes fans happy for very, very, very less development time. I mean, think about it. Like for Lucina, other than the character model, literally all they have to do is change where the property of the sword hits. And for Roy, it's the same thing except for the, what's it called? The down B, which is like the charging, the
neutral
fire.
B, like his, his up B is different too. Yeah.
So it's like you gotta think, it's like that's part of why there's a lot. It's because Sakurai says, oh, okay, this won't take much time to make, and that way those fans can be happy. You know, Chrom is the same thing of like Chrom, Chrom is an echo. He's a mix of Roy and Ike. So it's like to him, he's like, we can get Chrom in the game and people will be happy, and it won't take us much because we just literally have to take moves from other characters and just make the costume.
Yeah, like I think it's fair for like, again, like Lucina and Chrom pretty much were just costumes that were, you know, with different properties because he knew Fire Emblem fans wanted them in the game, and I appreciate that. But like, I think in my opinion, like all I'm gonna say is like, the trend started with Roy. Roy is extremely lucky that he was in Melee, because if Roy was added at any point after, literally no one would have like would have liked it. Like, I think people were okay with Ike because Ike was a very different character than Marth. Right. You know? Like if you were to ask me how like how Fire Emblem should be represented, it should be like Marth, Ike, Robin, and Corrin and Byleth. And I think Corrin again was lucky just because they came in at the right time, and they do have very unique moves that makes them feel like unlike a lot of Fire Emblem characters. But like, you know, I feel like even Corrin could be someone that I could see not returning if they ever did another Smash and weren't able to bring everyone back. You know what I mean?
I mean the thing is, it's like there is also the other side of like, it is kind of marketing, right? I mean, like, think about it. Like, after,
I mean, the whole thing about, there was a good thread about this, and all of Fire Emblem in Smash is marketing. It was not a series in the West in Melee. So Sakurai did. So not only Sakurai put Marth in the game to bring Fire Emblem to the West, Roy, I think his game wasn't even out yet, so he was a promotional character. Corrin's a promotional character because his game wasn't out yet in the US. Byleth was very much promotional, I feel, as well.
Because the DLC is soon, right?
So it's just literally Ike and Robin and Lucina, and I guess Chrom, I guess you can count too, that were like characters that were genuinely added because he wanted like to get more representation, you know?
And I think also it's not, again, it's another issue of like, it's not necessarily just because it's Fire Emblem, it's because I feel like people want to see other franchises. Like, again, it's like people say, like, think of Zelda, right? The fact that for Legend of Zelda we only have Ganon, Link, and Zelda, like counting the 3 links as like 1 or 3 links, it's like the fact that there's no other Zelda villains or characters when that is Nintendo's second biggest IP after Mario, well, after Pokemon technically. It's like, I feel like that's why people are more mad about it. It's because they feel like something like what's it called, like Metroid should get more, or something like Zelda should get more, or what other franchise needs more that's in Smash. What's the other one?
I guess Xenoblade, we were talking earlier.
Yeah, I mean, Xenoblade.
I think Xenoblade fans probably feel the most betrayed by all of this.
Yeah. And it's like, I love it. It's like, I think that's where it stems from, especially of like, people feel like, okay, I understand, but Fire Emblem is great and it deserves some love, and a lot of the most of the characters, other than like the Byleth and Core and stuff, and Robin have different stuff, but it's like I feel like it's because people really want to see more characters from different franchises thrive, instead of just like, hey, let's make Fire Emblem, let's really push Fire Emblem as like one of the biggest things we've got. So yeah, again, it's a difficult like line to balance, I think, right? Because again, I
think it could have been lessened if, like I said, like instead of like picking all the sword lords, because everyone's like, oh, they're all sword fighters. It's annoying, and like I understand like that as a baseline, but like, I think and like for Fire Emblem fans, there are characters like that are very popular in the series. Like you have Hector, he's a big armored axeman. We don't have like an armored character in Smash that's like like with an axe no less. Or like there's Ephraim who uses a lance like regularly, and like even like with with Three Houses. They could have had like a character like Claude who uses a bow. Like I know people were saying, oh, they can't pick just one house leader for Three Houses because it's favoritism. But I don't think that's the case. I think it would have been fine if you had everyone represented. Like we don't have a strict archer, in Smash. So I feel like the fact that it took this long for Byleth to be like, hey, you can use other weapons in this series besides a sword. It's like, really? It took this long to do that,
Yeah, again, it's like, and I do think after this, maybe, like, I mean, no matter what, I mean, we're not getting a game like this in a while, but it's like, I do think this kind of showed Nintendo again that's like, I think this is, again, they could add another one, it's their life, they could add another character, but I think they will think twice again, like, to remember, hey, we should represent a few more franchises and stuff, because again, Fire Emblem is awesome, I love Fire Emblem Three Houses is one of my favorite games from last year. It's one of my favorite Switch games in general. But again, I think, it's what I always say too. It's hard to complain because we have so many. But I do understand that, like, hey, especially like think about it. If you imagine you're not a fan of Fire Emblem, like this must suck for you to be like, oh my god.
Like, I can that's what I'm saying. Like I perfectly respect, because I felt the same way even as a Fire Emblem fan. I perfectly respect people who are like, why? Like I'm so tired of this. As long as you don't make it personal about Sakurai. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, as long as you don't like drag down Sakurai, harass Sakurai about it, I perfectly understand why people are like so let down by this.
It's what I said. It's okay to be disappointed. It's not okay to be a dick about it.
Yeah. But what was I gonna say? Like, I guess just in terms of like, okay. So like, I saw there was another good post I saw that was like, if let's say theoretically, Byleth was like a bonus character and Piranha Plant was the first fighter on the pass.
Right.
I actually think that people would not have been as upset about Byleth either, because I feel like that then it would have been like, oh well, this is just something to hold us over for the next character.
Exactly, yeah. Again,
and then I think people still would have been hyped for the Fighter's Pass if Piranha Plant was number 1, because people have been like, whoa, this is like a wacky, crazy character. Yeah. Like, what are the rest gonna be? You know what I mean?
No, again, it's like a lot of the disappointment comes from timing. I mean,
the order,
me,
the order and timing, and we know Nintendo is very bad about this, considering how Corn was handled after fucking Cloud.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, again, we don't know the inner workings, and we know that like they have to do things at a certain time because of production and internal stuff. But it just feels like every time they do like a Fire Emblem character, it's just the timing is just the short end of the stick,
Right. Yeah, because it's like I think about it right now. If at E3 they announced Byleth and Banjo, way less people would be mad because they'd be focused on Banjo and be like, oh, it's cool we're getting Byleth, but holy shit, Banjo, right? It's all about just timing and how long it was between the break of last character to now. The placing again. If Byleth was the third character in the past, the expectation that it had to be a third-party character would have faded. So it's like it is a lot of just mistiming, a lot of representation, and a lot of just stuff going on in general. But again, the thing, all this aside, it's like we're gonna find out how this character is in a week or so. We're gonna have a good time with it. And I think, I mean, again, the thing, like we said, is while this is the end of Fighter Pass 1, it's the beginning of Fighter Pass 2 and more speculation and more hype. It's like, again, character 5 might not have been for you, but you have 4 others that could have been for you, and you also have 78 for 75 fighters initially, so it's like I always have a hard time complaining. Like it's like I get if like you're playing Street Fighter 5 and it started with like 18 characters and like the next 3 characters you see, like 2 of them suck and 1 of them's good. It's like, that's like, yeah, I mean, this kind of sucks, but it's like, it's so hard to complain with a game that has so many franchises, so many crossovers, and all this stuff, right?
Yeah, I think when Sakurai like was talking about the Fighters Pass, and he said, my goal is to bring over as many like different video game worlds together as possible.
Yeah.
I think that's why people were like, wait, Byleth again? Like, more Fire Emblem again? I thought we were going to have different worlds and stuff. So I feel like, again, it's just, also, again, part of it stems from, as I said earlier, people trying to make a connection or, like, make like a pattern that just wasn't there, because Sakurai literally doesn't have any rules.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I think the biggest takeaway here is just, we can all speculate, that's fun, but I think pattern searching is kind of like a dead concept, especially after now.
Yeah, literally, we know it. Yeah, it's impossible.
Yeah, exactly. And also, happy 21st birthday to Smash. Smash is 21 years old today.
Yeah, that's wild. That's wild.
So, pretty crazy stuff. I mean, we did our history with the franchise anyway, so, but really awesome that it's the birthday. So, yeah, I think that's about it. I think we've covered it all. And again, definitely, well, next week, the character comes out a week from now, so we'll definitely hold over the episode at least like a day or 2 after that, so we can play with the character and talk about that. So yeah, so I think that's it. That's also anything else you want to say, Ultima, before we head out?
Just I definitely still look, you know, even though like I said I've been sort of like kind of negative on Byleth, like I'm still ultimately excited to play him and try him out. I mean, I think I think they're gonna be a lot of fun, like either way, and I think that's what I value the most. Like I said, like, you know, I talked about it earlier with how Corrin was like the same way for me, but I ended up loving how they played so much that, like, you know, I mained them, and like, you know, I you know, so I'm excited to try them out. I can't wait to, like, when they're out and we can talk about you know, how they play and how we like them and everything like that. So
also,
I look forward to that.
I fucking love the costumes. The costumes for Byleth are so cool.
Oh yeah, I love that they referenced. Oh yeah, it was funny. It was funny. In the direct, they were like, these are Byleth's P2, P3, P4 colors, and I was like, Persona?
Persona, exactly. Persona, it's amazing. Yeah, I love it.
But yeah, no, I like I said, I'm excited to play them. I'm still very excited to play them.
I'm really hyped. So yeah, we will see you all next week when we talk about that. You can follow Ultima Shadow X on Twitter. You can follow me, Yukami, and yes, stick around for more. And we will see you all next time. Peace.